Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I put my overnight highs here, my overnight lows here, actually before I start this review, I just want to quickly mention that this is the second time I'm making this video today. There was a corrupt file because my computer shut down. So my computer just randomly shut down 16 minutes into a video today. And so I have to remake it, and I might speed through this one because I'm not really wanting to do two videos, but I just thought I'd mention that because I'm probably gonna speed through this one now. But so anyway, we have the overnight highs here, the overnight lows down here. We're in this range, and we have this downtrend break. You can see these two legs end up forming this one leg, and then we get a measured leg for it. So downtrend break, first leg to a new low, second leg to a new low, and about this range measure move here. So at first I was like, all right. So at first I had it right here, but it was clearly bouncing between the overnight low and that range. So from what formed the overnight low here, it ended up reacting good from that wick right there. So I ended up liking this whole range here, and I drew a measured move for it because you can measured move ranges, just like with legs. And so I did that. Let me get it right off the end of that measured move there. And so that ends up forming this. Price reacted off of it pretty good. Now I didn't like buying here because we just broke straight through, but then clearly off of this, it rejected the low there. This one really rejected it clearly, like it closed on it to the tick after pushing through, and then this one, opened on it, clearly pushed through, and then couldn't get through, and so we closed back up. So price was clearly reacting off of it. I liked it when it closed back above, and yeah, so I just thought I'd talk about the range measured moves here because they are important. A lot of times I forget about them, to be honest. That's one of those things. That's one of those things with me where I just forget about range measured moves. Everyone has that thing they constantly forget about. But anyway, so just thought I'd go over that. And so I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. Sorry, it's just from making the last video, and then I just lost motivation as soon as my computer crashed. I was like, oh my god. Anyway, so about this right here, I have this trap marked here. So the reason I have this right here marked and also this right here marked, I have both of these marked as a trap. So the reason that I don't like this one is just pretty simple. It's way too short picture. It's to the tick, failed second entry, first entry short, second entry short, failure. It's just to the tick. It's not a big picture in any way. Now this right here, this entry is more big picture because it's it's with the bodies. It's not just with the ticks because you can say first entry short, second entry short, failure. And so you're more going off the bodies than, just to the tick. But by that point, it's just completely flat sideways. There's no way that you'd want to take that. But then we push down here, and so we have downtrend break, two measured legs down to this low down here, and it's also off the range measured move. And we push higher. I just wanted to get out at there. I didn't even want to push it one tick higher because then it had to go kind of what looked more significantly inside. But I didn't mind just having to get out on it really. And also price has been chopping through it, so clearly it's just acting as the midline. It's directly in the middle of this range. It is the midline for this range. And that's not too uncommon. It's pretty common for ranges to form at the overnight highs and lows. And then the overnight highs and lows will act as the midline. It's kind of just acts like a little bit stronger of a midline, basically. Just like a stronger midline, because usually midlines for channels and ranges, I don't even draw them. I don't even consider them. But I do consider them if it's an overnight level. So we are off of it here. Now clearly it's not the best reversal right here, so I have it marked as a trap. So it's not the best looking reversal setup. Now this setup right here, the way that it looks, that's not bad. I do think it's a high probability setup. Now with it having to go into these ranges, right, this range high right here, I don't like. Now, here's the thing. When you're going into a range high, it's not like there's any kind of breakout pullback. It's really just you're attempting to go into it once, attempting to go into it twice, and you were closing back below the EMA twice every time, right here. And so we pushed above, pushed back below, pushed back above, pushed back below, and then pushed back above. And then by the time you entered, you immediately pushed back below. But my point is, you keep closing back below, so it's not a perfect setup, and there's resistance in the way. So I do think that if you're a scalper, I think that this is a perfectly fine trade to scalp with, because you would get out before those highs, but then you would just have not very good risk to reward. I don't go for less than 1-to-1 risk to reward no matter what, and so clearly I would have to push it. I would have to have a pretty significant less reward than risk if I had to get out here, so I didn't want to do that. So for me, in the targets I go for, this is a trap, even though it's high probability for a scalp. So I thought I'd just point that out. And so we have the first attempt to reach that measured move, second attempt, failure. Then we get this, first entry long, second entry long, failure. That's just a to the tick. To me, that's just a lower high right here. A choppy lower high that I don't like, and it's directly into the overnight lows here. And then it does bounce and kind of chop around there, and then we start getting into this bigger downtrend here. And then we form this major double bottom. And so the downtrend played out with a break, a couple legs to a new low, a couple attempts to reverse, and then we end up retesting the range down here. And so you can kind of see it as downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, failure, reversing higher. And so price action happens one level at a time. At first, you're going to get the to the tick level, and then you're going to get a bigger level and then a bigger one. So, for example, kind of like how you have this downtrend break, and then these two small legs to a new low, that ends up becoming one leg, and then you end up getting these two legs to a new low. And then you get a more significant reversal here than you did here. So the two legs to a new low, you get this tiny little reversal that doesn't go anywhere. And then you have this, downtrend break, two bigger legs to a new low, and then you get this bigger reversal that also doesn't really go anywhere. And then you get this, a much bigger one. And so I'll draw it here. Downtrend break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, and then a very big reversal compared to the other smaller levels. So price action happens on one level at a time and just gets bigger throughout the day. And then that's also when you can go for bigger trades. A lot of the bigger trades are later in the day sometimes. So anyway, now this right here, it's into it, but you have a breakout pullback this time in really good context. So you just made a major double bottom, and then you get a big picture failed second entry. First entry short, second entry short, failure. You got a little breakout pullback. By the time the entry held above the EMA, and you held above it well here, you rushed above, held, managed to actually fully break out, and you reach this measured move here. Although actually, I'm sorry, I just made a mental mistake. That's not a measured move right here. That is not a measured move. You have two legs up that are breaking out, not resisting the range highs. You get a big picture failed second entry with a breakout pullback closing back above. I don't even mind entering into the highs right there because the context is so good and it's a breakout pullback. If it wasn't a breakout pullback, I wouldn't want to enter into them. But since you have a breakout pullback and really good context, it's fine. And then this short-term downtrend that you have here clearly overshoots. Everything is, talking going long. And then after you have those couple legs up here, that turns into one big leg up, and then you get a break. And then once it starts taking off here, you can draw this bigger measured move here. And then I thought I was going to get back-to-back trades here, but I did not. And remember how I was explaining how I was already doing a video? In the last video, I changed the risk to reward on this trade right here. So this is the attempt that I tried to enter this, and I tried to enter it for 1 to 2. When I was taking it, I wanted to go for 1 to 2. It was just in my mind. I kind of tricked myself because what I should have done was gone for 1 to 1, which is why you saw it as 1-to-1 a second ago, because I was explaining all of this just a little bit ago. But if I had gone for 1-to-1 and just accepted the bigger risk, which I don't know, I don't know why I had 1-to-2 stuck in my mind for some reason. In my mind, I was thinking of it as, I don't know, mental mistake. For some reason, I just didn't want to go for 1-to-1. And so that caused me to enter with a limit order to try to go for 1-to-2 and stay within this measured move. But I should have just taken more risk, gone for 1-to-1, and then just for sure get a fill, and then still get out at the measured move. But no, just go for 1-to-1 instead. So I did not get filled on this because I was trying to enter with a limit order and go for 1-to-2. Or sorry, not 1-to-2, 1-to-1.5 is what I was trying to go for. I was trying to go for a target all the way up to there with an earlier entry, and I was going for 1 to 1.5. And that was a mistake when I said 1-to-2. So anyway, then we get up here, you can kind of view this here, or not kind of, because it is. This is a big picture failed second entry. You can see first entry short, second entry short, failure. Now there's no good entry here. I'll get over to it, but I like this short here. So, like I said, one level at a time. So the bigger level would be this uptrend and then this two-legged break here. But if you zoom in, the first level is uptrend, break, new high, rush below the EMA, first attempt to reverse higher, second attempt to reverse higher, and the EMA held it down completely both times. And then the one time it does close above the EMA, you're getting a failed breakout. The EMA is still pointing down. Failed breakout of this range, plenty of room, clear two-legged move. The downtrend, this is a failed second entry from here because it's like rushing below and then a two-legged break. So it's like first entry short, second entry short, failure, and then that is a two-legged move, but it makes up this measured move here. And so it's right off the, and it's a failed breakout, and then you have room. So that's why I like it, and it's at a good area that you could expect a reversal on that level because the uptrend just had a break and a new high rush below the EMA, and that's barely even reaching halfway into this range. So that's the first sign of a bearish imbalance. And so bearish imbalance is when, the bears start taking control of a range. And so, the first thing you think of when, the uptrend has a break and a new high and it rushes below, the first thing you think of is bearish imbalance. And then, yeah, I think I said this, but the EMA was straight down the whole time. So that looks great. Then for the long, there's really no good long setup, unfortunately. It's just into resistance. It's just, it's choppy and into resistance, and it's unfortunate. But if we could have gotten a breakout of these lows, reached this measured move, had room, then it would have been great. But we just never got that set up here. And so eventually, as we started bouncing here, I got this bigger uptrend, which also put off the high as well. And so anyway, excuse me, I'm going to pause the video for a second. All right, sorry about that. I had to pause it for a sec. I had an interruption. So let me just zoom back in here. So we're in this range. I kind of forgot where I was, actually. I kind of forgot what I was talking about. I think I was like talking about this long or something not being so great. So anyway, we push up a couple times, and then after you push up and reject, and then you kind of start pushing up higher, you can start getting this bigger uptrend in play. And the highs do fit here. You have those two highs there. And so you start getting this uptrend here. And then you get this measured move. And so there's measured moves which actually, help form this uptrend. You get this short off the highs, except it's very close to the uptrend, so I don't like any of that. And then when you get a lower high, it's like you're just shorting into the low. I mean, it's just pushing low, and then it's into this uptrend, and so it's just an overall terrible area. And then you have a push down, break, another push down. Like, what a surprise. 2 legs down, 2 legs up, and then 2 legs down, and then goes back up. So I just thought I'd point that out too. Now here's the thing. When I look at this uptrend break, I don't look at this long right here as uptrend break expecting a new high. When I saw it, because I missed it, I was out of the room, but when I saw it, I was like, damn. Because this long actually does look good, but it's not because of this uptrend having a break and a new high, or uptrend break expecting a new high. It's not because of that, because honestly, I wouldn't really expect this uptrend to have a new high because it barely held. It's not a strong trend at all. It has a range like all the way through it. Not to mention what just happened. We had this uptrend, two-legged break, and then two legs to a new high, and then an immediate rush below the EMA. So it looks like it could be a reversal area, but price bounces directly from just from the tick touching it. It formed this massive bullish bar, and it clearly doesn't have SDT. And what that means, short-term trend line, does not have a short-term trend line going through, blocking that entry right there if I were to draw it. And that was just from a touch of the lows, two clear massive legs after I didn't mean to say massive. They're not like these legs, but they're two big picture legs is my point. And barely rejected it and then just shot all the way back up here. So unfortunately I missed this, but if you took that looks great. But you would have to get out before these highs. I would not push it beyond those highs at all. You could go for more than 1-to-1 though. I mean, you're literally holding to the upside. At this point, you have like this right here is just one bounce in my opinion. I see there's like there and then there. But it's really just like you have this massive double bottom. You have a massive double bottom setup as well, and this big measured move that's in play. So there's all sorts of things to go long there. Also the symmetry. That's one thing I forget to mention a lot is symmetry. Like it just kind of spiked down, so it's a good looking setup area. Not to mention how it just spiked down like that, and it ended up forming a symmetry. Like whenever there's a spike down, it will oftentimes make a symmetrical pattern. Like look at this. Spike down, and then you have the opposite spike back up. It doesn't happen always instantly, but a lot of times once you get a good setup, it will. And look where it made that symmetry. It made that symmetry as soon as you actually have the big picture failed second entry. So first entry short, second entry short, failure. It's a big picture failed second entry. Because remember, I'm still learning as a trader. There's even some things from like a long time ago in my older videos that I've changed. I wouldn't even go for 1-to-2. I used to not even go for more than 1-to-1 a really long time ago. And I had to slowly get out of the comfort zone. And so one thing that I am experimenting with, and a lot of times I don't like, whenever I'm learning something new, I don't like to immediately start talking about it. One, because it's just way too advanced to, which, it's just, I don't want to immediately start saying things if I learn something new, because, then people will attach to it, and then it's like, say I say something wrong about something I'm learning that's brand new. It's like, it becomes a whole mess. It's, anyway, so, but basically what I am experimenting with is entering into resistance with bigger picture moves, which that's something that I already do, but I'm looking at it to another extreme, but I'm kind of being vague right now, and I'm not going to really elaborate on too much. But I am still learning as a trader, and, sometimes whenever, like one time I'm kind of getting off track here going into a story. It'll be fast. So one time I had mentioned that I was doing something a little bit differently. It was just like a tiny, tiny experiment I was doing, and then I ended up not really going along with it. It was just something I was experimenting, and then I mentioned it to everybody on the channel, and it wasn't like any sort of proclamation of price, like how price action works. It was like, hey, I'm kind of experimenting with this, looking at this, and then some people took that as me saying this is dead set in stone, it's a rule. I forgot exactly what it was I said, but so sometimes people will take that out of context, and then when I had mentioned something that was kind of anti what I was experimenting with, someone kind of thought I contradicted myself. You see what I mean? So it's like a lot of times it's like, I don't like to broadcast every tiny detail of everything. If I'm learning something brand new, it's like, you know, I am a trader myself, and you know, I like doing this not course. I don't like thinking of it like that, but I do like uploading as a hobby. You saw there was like a couple month period where I stopped because it was kind of getting overwhelming, but it's just it definitely. And I appreciate all the members who understand that I'm not trying to make this like a big course thing, and you know. So anyway, I kind of got off track there, but let's get back to this. So and I do love making these videos, by the way. So let's get back to this. All right, I forgot where I was again. What was I talking about? Yeah, this or something. So yeah, I like that. Anyway, so we pushed higher here. This big leg here, we clearly had an attempt at a second leg. It failed very strongly. Remember, when something fails, it fails strongly. So that is a first leg. It's clearly a two-legged move. You know, when you have a spike like that, which I'm gonna remove this because it played out like that better. When you have a spike like that, which I'm gonna draw it here again. You know, price will try to reach that measured move, and so you have a first attempt, a break, and a second attempt, and then a strong failure. So whether it happens on a short-term time frame or a big-term time frame or long, you know, bigger picture time frame, it's still going to be strong. Price action plays the same on all levels. You know, like you have this failure here. You know, you have the two attempts to reverse, you break out, trying to fade. It failed, and it was very strong in the opposite direction. Here, you had the two legs higher here. It struggled to reach that second leg. It plummeted very strongly. It happened so fast. I don't even remember. Yeah, a lot of this was. Yeah, that was very fast. So, anyway, where was I again? I forgot exactly what I was talking about because I went on that rant. Not rant, but story. Anyway, I think I was here. So yeah, after we pushed out here, we got a tiny breakout pullback, nothing reached the EMA, and then we got congestive over here. Again, nothing at the EMA, nothing to take. Then you rush below the EMA, you don't get any sort of setups, no ticks higher. And you rush back above, and then you rush back below, and then you rush back above, and then you hold above right there. And this bar right here, you get a better bar. It's too sketchy. It's too back and forth above and below. I personally wouldn't take it. You only have one leg up here. It's not like a big measured move. It's just a leg up, a break, and then a couple attempts that seem to be doing okay, successful. So I wouldn't want to go short considering that and the massive bullish bias while there's a measured move in play. So that's just a little bit too counter trend at that time. So here is a long, it's with trend, and let me just zoom out a little bit. Now you see this channel, how we have this channel here. It's formed with these two legs down, so I'm going to remove it at first. So we have this first leg down, second leg down. We start reversing. We go into this clear channel here, and then we break. So we go into the channel, we break, and then we have a couple attempts down. So clearly was holding off those highs. You know, it's not the strongest looking channel, but it was holding off the highs. And then as soon as we got the break, we got this first attempt lower, second attempt lower. It's on a small picture, but it's not like just, ticking lower. Like you still have the legs. And then there's one thing I'd like to address on this, because I know people will ask about it, and that's, I'm gonna move this out of the way really quick. So you see how this ticks higher here, how I was just talking about leg down, break, leg down, but then how it does tick higher here. And that's because the bodies are stronger, It's just true. The bodies are stronger. This is still part of the bar, and you have to consider it like it did tick higher. And so you could see this as like this uptrend here, break, two legs to a new high, right? Well, on the inverse, the bodies are stronger. It's, first leg down, second leg down. That's how I do it. It's not like when you're scalping, you really have to consider the wick for everything. But with bigger picture, in my experience, the bodies are more important. And so I see that as 2 legs down, and I don't really care that it ticked higher. So 2 legs down with the bias, big measured move in play. We had these 2 legs down here, which, you know, the second leg was a lot bigger than the first one, which I actually want to quickly slightly adjust because those 2 legs down form this 1 leg, and then we have that. So that is almost to the tick measured move right there. So measured move, and then immediately reversed above the EMA and gave this reversal pattern with these 2 little legs down here with a massive measured move in play with the bias. That looks great. So I like that a whole lot, as I just wanted to stay within this kind of resistance area here. I didn't want to push it too far because I was buying kind of high. There was a good correction, obviously, but, you know, we did just spike up. If I were to go for 1 to 2, it would be into the high, and then that is exactly where it turned down, actually. So anyway, it's just, you know, it's pretty choppy. So just stay within the chop. Anyway, we have those couple attempts higher. I don't see any other good long. Like, I don't think this long is good here, which I do mean to experiment with. Or not experiment, I meant to draw this. So this right here, I remember this, it did not quite reach the trend line. And so it could be seen as like a first entry short, second entry short failure. But the way that I view it is this trend could be exhausting. Even though you have that measured move here, you did just have 2 legs higher here and then a massive plummet below the EMA. And then by the time you get a long entry, that plummet couldn't even reach the key level. So if you have a plummet like that right after those 2 legs up and then it can't even reach the key level, it's just strange. So I wouldn't want to take it. It has a little overshoot, but I mean, that doesn't mean take it. I mean, if it was off the key entry point, I would feel a lot better about it. It's just I don't like how it had 2 legs up and then immediately reversed down and then couldn't get off the key entry point. So yeah, and then we just pushed higher here and then really failed from there, which I don't see any good shorts in here because you're entering directly into this trend line on that, so I don't like anything there. And then this happened kind of really fast. A lot of it was happening during the last video I was making. And then, so let's draw this here. So we have this downtrend here, we get it off this swing, and then those lows fit pretty well there. Downtrend break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. That's a big picture, failed second entry there. It looks like you're shorting into that double bottom there and what was previously that range low, so I don't like that. But we're going down, we're in this downtrend, we eventually reach the overnight lows again. We have a little breakout, it fails at first. I don't like the way that long looks. It's just way too bearish. You're in this downtrend. You technically overshot there, but it basically held because it did immediately, it tried to retest it there, and so then it did hold there again. So I don't like entering into that downtrend, and then it clearly has STT. So I don't like it. It felt so fast, it felt like a news event, which I don't know if there was a news event. I don't really check Forex Factory that often. Like, I don't even really care to have the indicator on. The indicator, if anyone's wondering what I'm talking about like Mac's indicator, which I love Mac. I'm sure we all do. But yeah, I never really, I usually just check Forex Factory whenever I think about it, but I usually don't even think about it, and then I learn about the news from people in the site. So, and even when there is news events, a lot of times people don't like trading during news events, and I just want to say that I personally love trading during news events. Sometimes there's like fill issues because like I'll only get partial fills sometimes, and it's like, you know, sometimes some of my contracts get filled way higher up than I want, and but if you're really experienced and you know what you're doing, then the price action during the news will be the same. It's just you're going to have fill issues and you don't have as much time to make decisions. But, you know, if you can do it effectively, you can make a lot of money because the points will be so small and your risk will be massive, yes, but your reward will also be massive, which is why you have to be experienced before you trade during high volatility news events. But one time I got this, my best trade during a news event. I think it was like a 1-to-1 13-point trade. I forgot exactly. Maybe it was 1-to-2. I don't quite remember. But it was an excellent trade during a news event. That one was actually recorded. So it should be in the live trades playlist, but that was a long time ago. Long time ago. I don't really like to record anymore, which I explained why a long time ago. It's just too stressful. But that was part of why I took that like couple month break, because everything was overwhelming. And then I kind of just stopped doing uploading live trades. So anyway, I guess that's going to do it for the video. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time.